or not, boy. Whew, I don't think we never was gonna make it.
I'm gonna be on my best behavior right now, man.
Bro, you sent us down that rabbit hole. It's your fault.
All right.
This guy.
What? Man, I'm just being honest, man.
All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this. And what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After 29 podcast. This is episode 38. Cancel this. I'm Vincent Dunstan, aka Minister V. Let's get it going, guys.
It's your boy Malcolm Davis, man of steel.
Clayton Foster, big shoulder brother in the building.
Mazio Boone, happy to be here.
I don't even know if I should pray after what we just talked about.
No, we need prayer.
We definitely,
We need two. Do two.
we
today.
definitely need prayer.
Especially Clayton, boy.
Bro, nah.
All right, guys, let's talk to God.
All right.
Eternal God, our Father, Lord, we come to you on this Friday evening, Lord, to give your name honor, glory, and praise, Lord. Lord, we ask that you will bless this topic that we are about to discuss, Lord, that it may reach those that are listening, Lord. Lord, we thank you for allowing us an opportunity and a platform to discuss those issues that are most important to us, Lord. And, Lord, we ask that you will forgive us for the conversation that we just had prior to this record, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, let's get it. Cancel this. For those that are wondering, cancel this. I mean, you probably already know. We're going to talk tonight about cancel culture.
Yeah.
Honestly, cancel culture is nothing new. It just now has a name or a title. But technically, I mean, people been being canceled for years. Whether it's been individuals or movements or, just different things have been canceled over time. So we're going to start off what actually brought about this topic. We were discussing the Dave Chappelle Netflix special, The Closer. That was the one, right? The Closer, right? We were discussing that, and some of those comments that were made from Dave Chappelle's special, they were a little bit, according to some people, they were a little bit controversial. Dave Chappelle made some comments during his special that he referenced the LGBTQ plus whatever community or whatever. And honestly, I hadn't really seen the special, but what I did was some of the comments that were supposedly controversial, I looked it up. I mean, you can't really talk about something unless you know about it. Now, let me just go ahead and put this disclaimer out there because I have not watched the special in its entirety. I possibly could take something out of context, but what I did was I did pull it up. I did pull it up online, a transcript of the actual conversation or the special, if for that matter. And and one of the things that he was referencing to, he talked about gender. Well, not even gender. Let me back off before I get to that, because that was a whole nother part before he said that. What he said was, how much do I have to participate in your self-image? And that to me is a legitimate question when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. And he wasn't, after reading this, he wasn't attacking them, and he actually wasn't even criticizing them. What he said was, as a person who's not a part of that community, how far do I have to go to participate in your self-image? Okay, look, if this is how you see yourself, okay, that's fine. But why do I have to play into that? Why do I have to accept things that I don't agree with, or that I personally don't see as fact, or whatever the case may be? Now, he did go on to say, now of course he's a comedian, so it doesn't matter what he's discussing. He's going to say some things that are comical. I mean, that's his job. That's how he makes his coins. And he said, you shouldn't discuss this in front of black people. I know niggas. He said, I know niggas in Brooklyn who wear high heels just to feel safe. And he said, why is it easier for Bruce Jenner to change his gender than it is for Cassius Clay to change his name? And it brings up an interesting conversation, and we'll get to the whole point of cancel culture in a minute. It does bring up a part of this conversation about why is it something like that is more acceptable, or nowadays is being more pushed as they want it to be acceptable or tolerated or whatever, then it is for things like a black man that changed his name. I mean, look at Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson changed his name to Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Ridiculous to some of us, but that was that man's football number, throughout his career. So he legally changed his name, yet those, people won't accept that. Why, I don't know. Let's just talk about it. No particular point. Let's just talk about, this whole thing here with Dave Chappelle.
I just think right now everything got to be inclusive. So you can't, everybody wants to be treated the same, I guess. I don't understand the transgender thing. I didn't think anything that he said was offensive when I saw the special. I just think that's just where we are. I think we care more about people's feelings than I do. Than I think we care about what's right and what's wrong at this point.
Do you think it was one of those where it wasn't even that he said something offensive? Do you think it was really because he just mentioned the community and he wasn't basically saying that a man that transforms into a woman is a woman? Because he wasn't saying anything like that. Pretty much agreeing with them that
I just think you can't say anything about any community at this point, and or you're gonna get thrown under the bus.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't even say anything crazy about the white culture without white people saying that we racist towards them at this point. And that's why we can't. They don't want us to talk about CRT, which it's not even taught in schools, because they saying it's making white kids feel like they're the victims. So I just think you can't talk about any culture at this point without people being overly sensitive about it. But like I said, I didn't think it was over the line when I watched the special. But I just think today, this time in this era, I just think we care more about people's feelings than we care about what's right and what's wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The lines of like black and white are being blurred. Like everything now is fluid. Like it's no clear distinction between things now. And people are like extra sensitive. Like if you like go back and watch like 90s, 80s comedies, like stand up. Everybody.
You really have your feelings hurt.
Everybody got it.
Yeah. Even like Kings of Comedy, when like Bernie Mac was talking about his nephew being gay and stuff. Like, you can't do that now. And it was a hilarious set, but a lot of that stuff won't fly now because everybody's so sensitive and like the lines are being blurred so much of what's what. Like you gotta walk on a tightrope all the time now. You gotta watch what you say.
Right. I mean, from watching the segment or whatnot. I really feel like Dave Chappelle didn't say anything wrong. He didn't go out of character saying or criticizing any group or anything like that at all. Definitely now, the times that we live in, the tensions for each group is definitely high. So anything that you say, they'll definitely look through it through a fine tooth and comb or whatever. And and even if you may not mean anything by it. Someone else might feel offended, and then they, put you on blast or whatever, which it shouldn't be like that. My personal opinion, my thing is, he's a comedian, and I understand comedians should have a way about going about telling their jokes or whatever. But the thing is, any comedian talks about anybody, and they even crack on themselves or whatever. So my thing is, if comedians are doing their job and you know that yourself you can easily get offended or whatnot, why put yourself in that situation? So
and it's a clear distinction between when someone's being like venomous versus actually just making a joke. Cause we remember what happened with your boy that played Kramer, when he was like, oh, he's a nigger, like that's clearly overstepping the line, and you're not being comedic, you're just being insulting. So I think that if Dave Chappelle was doing something like that, I mean, get at him. But he really wasn't doing that.
One of the things, and I'm gonna say this, first of all, I say it all the time, I really just think we live in an overly sensitive world now. Every little thing hurts somebody's feelings. Any little thing that you say, and it's not even that you're attacking someone. I mean, if you, like you just said, if you're blatantly attacking someone, that that would warrant that type of response because you are purposely saying something to hurt or whatever. But if I'm just speaking on the subject, and because I don't agree with, the subject, from your point of view on it, or mine differs from what you want to be the new norm, that shouldn't label anyone as, homophobic, transphobic, or whatever the case may be, or it shouldn't even label them as attacking. Right. Since when did a difference of opinion warrant being labeled an attacker of that matter? And honestly, that's even if like us being black men and a white man says, well, I don't think, let's just say if we, for example, let's just say if we was talking about a particular subject, or we were talking about something about, black people are entitled to reparations, and the white guy says, well, I don't think black people should be entitled to reparations because what does money have to do with what y'all went through for 400 years? Just throwing that out there. Mm-hmm. Are we going to label him a racist and say that he was attacking the black community because he has a difference of opinion? Whether he's wrong or right about his opinion, I think that would be overly sensitive to label him as something like a racist or something like that because he has a different opinion. Yeah.
Well,
same thing with
let's be honest though.
I think you got to know the person.
Yeah.
If you don't know the person, he could be racist if he said it. I don't know.
But just based on that statement doesn't warrant that title.
But every statement you still got to. Every statement that somebody say, you still got to look at the whole story. Yeah, exactly. You can't just go for one statement and saying, "Hey, it might not." What did he say? What was the couple of statements prior to that statement? And what was a couple of statements after that statement? Right. And I think that's the problem, is that you have to look at the whole story and not just parts of it.
Right. Facts. But like if I can just be frank, how we always talking about like how you see it often now with the LGBT community getting up in arms about what people are saying. Right. But let's be real. Like, our community is the same way. Yeah. Sometimes, like, they'll say, oh, this dude is a racist, or they try to call somebody out or cancel somebody from our culture, and not knowing all the facts or not knowing everything that's going on, they just try to flat out cancel them. Right. And so, like, it's not just that community. Our people do it, too.
And and I'd like to add on to what Vincent was saying, about how this generation is more sensitive of different things being said or whatever. It's like now people can't have an opinion. If I have an opinion just because Malcolm might like these blue pair of Jordans and something like that, and I say nah, that's ugly. Like I mean people lash out at me because I have a different opinion. Right. It shouldn't be about that. And then it also made me think about a story how I think it was a high school basketball team or whatever. They whooped them like real bad. I think it was like 75 or 100 points to like some low score number.
Are you talking about the men versus the women?
No. It was it wasn't that.
No, it was like I know what you're talking about. But they still had the starters in. Yeah. And it was late, and they was up by like 100 points.
Yeah. And then like people complained about the people losing, saying like, well, why? I mean, what about the losers? Like, so basically like
play better.
That's not play better. That's bad coaching. Once you got a lead like that, you take your starters out and you let the rest of the players in there. You're only there to win. You're not there to embarrass the other team. Right. Your job is only to win the game.
And it just makes me think about people. There's winners and losers, and the people that lost, got sensitive about it and just couldn't take the L and just said like, "Hey, what about the losers? We should get a trophy or something like that." So,
as far as the coaching part of it goes, because that's a little off topic. The coaching, that's poor coaching. Yeah, you up by a sizable lead. You take your starters out. You rest them. You let some of your other players get some time. What's the worst that can happen? You know what I'm saying? Right. Okay, your lead shrinks, but you still win the game. The point of it is that we talking about oversensitivity in today's generation, right. and that really seems to be very prevalent nowadays. Like especially with the generation behind us, they're very sensitive. Right. You can't rub them. You can't brush shoulders with them without them saying, "Oh, you attacked me," and that's basically. And I'm being dramatic when I say that.
Bro. People our age, like
that's true too.
Like Instagram stuff, people our age from our community and up in arms about bullshit sometimes.
I think it really is just the times now. Like, people get their feelings hurt over every little thing now. And that's not to say that we don't have some people out here who are you. We gonna let you cancel them in a minute. But there really does seem to be a lot of people who really just get in their feelings all the time, and it's just like, yo, I hate to say it, but man up. Right. Man up or woman up.
It's just the culture at this point, man.
Yeah. it is.
Hopefully it'll toughen up soon, but it's just what it is.
But it is. But I don't think. Sometimes I feel like that's not going to happen because we keep having like one of the things that Dave Chappelle said. I stand by it because I say it all the time. To what degree do I have to participate in your self-image?
Right. And like when I brought up the basketball game, that's like the main thing I was mentioning. Like people are highly sensitive and just it just doesn't make any sense. Like I mean,
I would be sensitive if my kid was on the losing team.
I mean,
and the coaches,
but to the point
by
where
100 points and he still got his, I would be upset about that.
And I understand that part, but my
really
thing is like
be.
You saying that a parent with someone, well, my kid should get a trophy or whatnot for parts.
I mean, my kid shouldn't get a trophy for losing, but I would be pretty upset if the coach if they getting beat by 50
I would
points.
say it's distasteful.
Competition is about sportsmanship too.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say it's unsportsmanlike and it's distasteful, but is it wrong? No.
Yes.
It's not wrong. It's just distasteful.
Why isn't it wrong?
The same way it's not wrong to
What's
say
the
that
object?
a woman is a woman and a man is a man.
What is the object of the game?
It's to win. It's to win the game.
Not to embarrass.
No, it's not.
The other team.
And it's not. But what I'm saying is,
Isn't
it's
that
not wrong
embarrassing?
to do. It's distasteful and it is embarrassing.
So how
And
is it not wrong?
It's not wrong though. There's no rule or anything that says that you can't do that.
Technically, it's not wrong, but that's
But that's what I'm saying. It's not wrong, but it is distasteful.
If you play sports, they got certain rules that you just don't do. Unwritten rules in sports. You don't if you are winning the game by 2 touchdowns and it's 10 seconds left, you take a knee. You don't throw a touchdown.
So does that apply?
Those are unspoken rules of sports.
Okay, so do those same unspoken rules, do those apply when, like, for something with Dave Chappelle? Should he not have made any of those comments?
I don't know about those unspoken rules. We talking about a basketball game. But
that's just one example. But I'm talking about let's apply that to another. Let's apply that to another category. Does that same thing still apply to that category? Should we not have an opinion, or is it wrong to say things about the LGBTQ community, like, because we don't agree? Like, let's just say,
I think it's what you say and how you say it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean,
you can't just bluntly say,
because now you're attacking at that point.
And that's why I said you can have opinions, but it's how you express your opinions that's distasteful and over the top.
But now,
some people can express. Dave Chappelle expresses opinions pretty good, but
he didn't attack though.
And it's also other guys that we know that don't do it in a tasteful way,
right? Like DaBaby. Now DaBaby made straight up comments like attacking the gay community,
and that's when it.
That is when it goes a little over the top, because now you're just flat out. I mean, good look. Okay, you're a straight man. You don't agree with it. I'm a straight man. I don't agree with the lifestyle, but I'm not going to attack because personally I don't care or whatever. My thing is, I do feel, as like Dave Chappelle said, to what degree do I have to participate in your self-image before I'm labeled a homophobe or transphobe or some type of phobic. Now, I hate that we use that term phobic, because a phobia is a fear of something. I do not fear the gay community, the trans community, or whatever. I don't fear any aspect of that community. I just don't agree.
Right, and I agree with you. I mean,
so, but why do we allow that now? Because things only go the way they go because we allow it. Because as a whole, because remember, we live in an overly sensitive world, and we're afraid to touch anything on that subject because we are afraid to be canceled or to be labeled one of those terms. Because you can't have a difference of opinion, because the sooner you do, like Dave Chappelle, you're labeled something. Now, for instance, J.K. Rowling, the author and creator of Harry Potter as we know it, she made some comments, on the subject prior, some years prior, and they canceled the hell out of her. And that was a surprise. A white woman first of all, that woman is a billionaire. Yeah, I think she's gonna be okay. I don't think she really cared, but it's not even about the money aspect, because they can't, first of all, they can't cancel her. She's not going to lose anything. She owns the rights to all of her stuff. No one can take that away from her. What they gonna do? Like not play?
Boozy. Oh yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
Who?
Lil Boozy.
Lil Boozy be going overboard with it.
But he also ain't worried about. He's also not worried about somebody taking anything from him. Lil Boozy is one of those smart. He's a crackhead, but he's one of those smart rappers who owns all. He was smart. He's a smart businessman. He owns the rights to his entire catalog.
Right.
Yeah. So who's taking anything from him? People still gonna buy his music.
I mean, I just say is that I don't care what people think about me. Y'all know me. Right. Y'all know my motto. They'll get over it. It's she'll get over it. That's my motto. Yeah. But
I mean, I guess how I feel is like, as long as you don't maliciously attack a certain group or whatever, no matter what group. I mean, and if you just like saying whatever,
have
your
an opinion.
Yeah, have your opinion. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
And
But that's not the world we live in.
Right, exactly.
But that's not the world we live in,
Right,
though.
because right now, like attacking like a community is subjective. There's no clear line of what's stepping overboard and what's not.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. Now let's look at this aspect, because now while Dave Chappelle was, well, first off, let's go ahead and put this out there. Dave Chappelle was not canceled. He wasn't having it. Netflix wasn't having it, and I think that was a great step in the right direction to kind of do away. No, he didn't. But see, that's the thing. If we really go back and look, there were a lot of people that were so-called canceled that didn't do anything wrong either. Right. Just the people backing them, or the networks or labels backing them, didn't have the courage to say, no, we're not going to cancel them. They were too afraid to lose a whole audience. So they was just like, yeah, let's just go ahead and throw him under the bus. Netflix took a stand and said, look, he didn't say anything wrong. We're going to back him. No, we're not canceling him. In fact, we're going to give him another special, because he already signed on to a whole nother deal after that. And people thought that they was going to do this whole strike, and them people got fired. So, they tried it. They tried it.
I don't know, it's the LGBTQ.
He said the alphabet community.
They are a community, but I don't think they are as big of a community as they think they are.
Well, they actually are.
They are big, because
if you can't think of
the black community, they're not bigger than the white community.
I don't know. No, they're not bigger, but I will say this: I damn sure think they got more power than we have.
Because they
have more influence. Let me say that.
Because they fight harder than we do for their rights. Yeah.
Well,
that's the problem.
You know what? I can't even argue. I can't argue with you on that. Speaking of the black community, it seems that, like, okay, Dave Chappelle, and I ain't even talking about, let's exclude the members of the y'all forgive me for the alphabet community, because I can't remember that shit. Anyway, from that community, and let's exclude them for a second. Black folks who have seen the special, heard his words, and they were quick to say, yeah, cancel him. What's up with us as a community? We so quick to cancel our own over any and everything. And they could be saying something that we actually agree with, but because it's unpopular, we'll cancel them too, or we'll join the whole the whole parade of cancel.
That's the problem. We don't do our own research, and we don't look into it. Because like
somebody said cancel, so we cancel.
A lot of things will be popping on Facebook, and everybody will jump on it. Like it was this host on Facebook about Kyle Rittenhouse saying that he was defending his grandmother's gas station. His grandmother does not own a gas station in Wisconsin. Right. They just live in Wisconsin.
And yet right-wing nut jobs jumped on that.
But everybody jumped on it, and it was trending on Facebook until Facebook got rid of the host. And I just think so many people do that. Blacks too, whites too, green people do it as well. Right. And they don't do their research, and they don't look into it. And that's probably why some of the black people was counseling Dave Chappelle, because they only heard what... Yeah, bandwagon jumping.
Exactly.
They didn't do their research. They didn't look into it. They just saw some stuff on Facebook and say, "Oh yeah, that was bad, so I'm gonna cancel him too," and chose not to listen to what he actually said. Right. And that is a problem, because this is a microwave society. We don't take the time to read up on stuff that we should read up on.
Laziness.
Yeah,
we are very lazy. We want everything right now, and we don't do our research. So something can trend on Facebook, and it's not true at all.
And we run. And you're right about that. As a community, black people, we run with it.
Black people, white people, green people, they run with it, and the stuff is not true. Facebook can say somebody died last night, and it not be true, but it'll be.
And you got 10 million RIP posts.
It'll be trending.
Who you killed?
John Madden, bro.
No, man,
But it'll be trending by tomorrow, and then Facebook got to come out and say it was a whole hoax.
Yeah, that's
because everybody will share it, and then it's rest in peace and all this other stuff. And we have to start looking into these. Now, I'm okay if you want to counsel somebody. After you do your research and you're not okay with what they said, counsel them. I'm okay with that.
If they actually said it.
If they actually said it. But you have to be able to make up your own mind and stop doing the popular stuff.
Right.
I think that's what's wrong with our world a little bit anyway, is that we don't do, like you said, we don't do what's right. It's not about right and wrong no more. It's about what's popular. It doesn't even matter that what was said. Let's just say if somebody did say something right, but there's a whole group out there that disagrees. Right. You're right. That you will have a whole other group that just says, stone him off with his head, crucify him, just because it wasn't the popular thing to say, even though it was the correct thing to say, or if it was right. I don't know. It's just one of those that, like, I don't know.
And it's like a lot of people are just, being followers. I mean, they see that this is the hottest trend. Oh, I'm going to be a follower. I'm going to follow this person. Even though I don't even know what's going on. And I'm just clueless about it. I'm just follow this person because, everybody's doing it. Right. And it's just definitely not right. I mean, make sure, like Malcolm said, do your research. Because, I mean, for example, it could be a post on Facebook saying, oh, if you click like, you win $1,000. And as soon as they just see that one little line, everybody
What was that game that everybody was passing on Facebook? You get some money by playing this game. What was the name of that game?
Oh, shit.
I forgot what it was. Man.
Do you think some of this, especially when it comes to cancel culture, is that people just want to be a part of something? Like they don't do the research. Obviously, it's not even about form. It's not even about an opinion. I just want to be part of a movement because now people are saying like, "Oh, he shouldn't have said that," and I just want to be part of something to sound like I know what I'm talking about. So I just jump on it.
Maybe.
I don't know. So listen, we do know, like we did say, there are times people do say things that are like out of line, or people do things that are just way out of line. Is cancel culture sometimes warranted?
Yes.
I'll ask that.
I think so. Sometimes people say things that go overboard. And like I said, man, your true colors come out sometime. Mm-hmm. You can't hide it forever. And I think a lot of times, especially like movie stars and those things, and we look at them, we put them on a pedestal, and then they say something that shocks us, and we shouldn't be shocked about it because they probably say the stuff in their own homes.
Yeah.
Man, stop talking about my boy Hulk Hogan, man.
Hulk Hogan racist, man. I tell you, man. I always thought.
So look, let me also ask y'all this before y'all move on. Cancel culture. Do you think that there's a line between, or do you think that maybe? Hold on, let me back up. Should we cancel people, or maybe should we just, look, I don't like them, so I ain't gonna buy this stuff no more. Because do you think that there's a difference of degrees when it comes to just canceling a person and just not supporting them? Because cancel them, you don't want them to be seen no more. You don't want them to sell nothing no more. Well, they need to go somewhere, sit down, and never be heard of again. To me, that's the definition of cancel culture versus I'm just not going to support them. Is there a difference, or do you think cancel culture is that?
Well, I don't think it's a difference because if you stop supporting them, there ain't nobody gonna give them airtime.
Right, but that's you, the individual. Now, yeah, you're right. That will trickle to more and more.
Down. Yeah, like your girl Chrisette Michelle. She did the little inauguration for Donald Trump. She didn't think it was gonna be a big deal, even though her managers and everybody told her not to do it. She didn't know her demographic. Her demographic was mostly black women that listened to her music and go to her concert. What did black women overwhelmingly do in the election? They voted for Biden 90-some%, or it was Hillary. 90-some% of black women voted for Hillary. Do you think they're gonna support you for singing at Donald Trump inauguration? She had to cancel concerts because she didn't know her demographic.
Right.
So they stopped supporting her, and now you don't hear much about her. So I think it's one and the same. If your demographic is not supporting you, then you're not gonna get playtime and you're not gonna get airtime. So basically, you are being canceled by default. I think.
Yeah. I don't know.
What you think, Clay?
I mean, that's a tough one, man. Well, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like she missed out on money because like you're going against your demographic. You don't want to be doing it just for the money, but if the people who are paying to see you not gonna come see you,
exactly,
you're kind of hustling backwards.
What Ken say about money?
He said it's not the most important thing, but it's right up there with air. You gotta have it to live.
Yeah. And she found out the hard way. And she said she went through a time of depression and all that stuff, man. If you read up on it, man.
Yeah.
She took it hard.
And I definitely agree with Malcolm. I mean, it's one and the same. And one person I think that should have been canceled long time ago is R. Kelly.
Yep, I agree.
He should have been canceled. And I mean, just with the things that he's done and people just still, pouring in money, supporting him and stuff like that. Now people want to say like, oh, he should have been canceled from the jump. Like for doing the things that he did, nah, He should have been definitely gone.
I agree. I personally agree because I have a daughter and those things. So
and it's like,
but I'm not gonna bash people if they listen to his music.
Right.
Like I said, I personally agree with the cancel culture on him.
Oh, so on that, so when we talked about this on our conference call just the other night. Now let's talk about cancel culture and R. Kelly. Now I am one of those people. Now what I will not do. Now I do agree. Now if R. Kelly was doing all those things that he was accused of, and apparently he did because they put him in jail. Yeah. So I would say that cancellation is warranted. Now, what I have a problem with now when it just comes to the R. Kelly, now we're just talking about one individual over others. Well, actually, there are others in the same situation. I mean, there's R. Kelly, there's Hulk Hogan, who was, he was clearly making racial comments or whatever. Now, there are some people who say, well, I won't buy no more of his stuff, but I'm not going to throw away the stuff that I have. I'm not going to not cherish the memories I have from the past. So now, I totally understand and agree with where you guys are coming from, especially, you guys who have daughters. And I have nieces, so I understand, and I'm a brother to 3 sisters. So I totally understand. Look, cancel that Negro because, look, he did what he did and he was wrong, and that just, that's an attack on women in general. You know what I'm saying? Now what I have an issue with is if you want to cancel that brother, that is perfectly fine. That is your right to do as an individual. I think sometimes we lose sight sometimes when we want to force our opinions on others or whatever. And even if and to me, that even goes with the whole canceling Dave Chappelle or whatever. Right. If you want to cancel that brother. But don't make this into no large movement where you want everybody to agree with your opinion. Let everybody come to their own opinion. Now, for me, when it comes to R. Kelly, I own every R. Kelly album that he has ever came out with. I will not throw my albums away. I will not listen to his music. I still like the music. But me playing that brother's music don't put no money in his pocket. I already bought those albums, so I'm going to still play the music. Now, what I will not do from the time we found out for what he did and that he was guilty, I will not buy anything else. Now, if he gets out of jail in 5 years and he decides to put out more music, whenever. I'm just speaking on hypotheticals. If he did, now, given what he did, cancel that brother from that point on. But I'm not going to go back 10, 12 years back in the 90s when that man was the king of R&B in the 90s. I'm not going to cancel his music from then. First of all, he's already made the money off of that, and us still listening to it, if that's what you choose to do, I don't think they're saying, well, if you still do that, you're supporting him and you're basically saying you're okay with what he did. That's not true. I'm not okay with what he did, but I'm not going to throw my albums away that I already paid for and they done already got my money.
Well, let me ask you this. So what if you had like a friend that, I don't know, did something egregious to you, and you had I guess you had a picture of your friend in your house, they did something egregious, you still gonna keep that picture in your house?
But I think that's different than canceling. And plus, that's a personal thing. That's like if I break up with a girl, and let's say if she left some stuff at my house and we break up, depending on what it is, I may or may not want that anymore. But if let's just say if she bought me a vacuum cleaner, right, and we break up, or somebody did something real foul, which means I'm cutting ties with them, am I going to throw my vacuum cleaner away because they bought it for me or whatever, or because that was something that I shared with that person? Hell no. But that doesn't mean, so I don't know. I think the comparison there is a little bit off. I'm not going to get rid of that. Or now, a picture, hell yeah, I don't want that picture in my house once we're not friends anymore or whatever. But it has nothing to do with, well, it kind of does have something to do with what they did, if I'm supposedly cutting off that personal tie.
Yeah, I just think you can't separate the artist from the person, because he gave us all of this stuff while he was doing that stuff. We made him basically supporting R. Kelly. We gave him the power to do these things to the girl with the money that we paid for his music.
I mean, and I agree there.
R. Kelly ain't a good looking brother. Let's get that out the way. The only reason he had all these girls come to him because he was rich and he was R. Kelly. Right. That's it. And he promised them a career in music.
Right.
But I do think canceling culture should be a personal thing, like Clayton was saying. It shouldn't be a movement. If I don't like R. Kelly, I'm just not gonna buy his music anymore. Just like if a restaurant messed up my order, I ain't going back to that restaurant.
But are you going to stand outside that restaurant and say, don't eat here, don't eat here?
No, I'm not going to do that. I might write a bad review.
Yeah, but that's another thing that's personal.
That. Yeah, but I'm not going to stop Clayton from going to that restaurant. I'm going to say, hey, Clayton, when I went, the food wasn't great, and I'm not going back. And you make your own decision whether you want to go there or not.
Right. Chime Uno.
But I'm not gonna make a Facebook page asking people to cancel China Uno because Maggio had me in there eating roaches.
Lunch, so when we're talking about this, because it does seem like sometimes like some of these some cancellations are warranted, right? Which we know. Like,
some of them are.
But well, for one, that's a matter of opinion. So I will put that out there because when one person may say, well, that person should be canceled, like accordingly, the people of the LGBTQ plus community said that Dave Chappelle should be canceled. I say give the brother another special. But that's a difference of opinion. I guess it depends on your point of view.
Yep.
We also realized on the other side of things that we also live in an overly sensitive community. So, in a world, how do we differentiate between being too sensitive and a warranted cancellation?
That's why I say you gotta look at the whole picture, the whole story. You can't take part of what he said without looking at the whole special, and then it would have made more sense to you if you looked at the whole special. But what we like to do is we like to post certain things that we dislike about something. Like I can have a 15-minute presentation on something, but you might only hear 2 minutes of it, and now you bashing me for the 2 minutes of it without getting the whole story. So I think you have to get all the whole story before you make your own decision on canceling people, and just don't be bandwagon jumping in those things.
I think it's gonna be hard to gauge because some things that are offensive to some people isn't offensive to others. Because like I was watching a video like on TikTok or something. It was like a bunch of black people. It was like this one white boy. And like some people was telling them to say the N-word, and other people was like, "No, you say it if you want to. Right. I'm about to sock you in your jaw." But you said, "Oh man, it's cool, man. Go ahead and say it, man." And the white dude was like,
But most white people know what they can't say.
Right. That's why he was saying, he's like, "No, I can't do it." Right. But the black people was like, "Yo, it's cool, man." But like some of the other black people like, "No, don't do it, bro." So I think it's like in one of those situations, like it's so like some people like. They don't care regardless. Whatever you do, it's what you do. Right. But some people like want to get the word out. Like, don't mess with this dude because he did this, that, and this. Like, so that's my thing. Is like, I don't know. Like when you're canceling somebody, like it's hard to say if it's warranted or not because people are gonna feel different ways about it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like what Malcolm said. Make sure you get all your information. About every little thing that you, like that's been said or that you watch before you actually make a decision. Like kind of like how we talked about that another episode on the podcast where people act out on emotions. Don't act out on your emotions before making a decision or whatever.
I mean, because we all do it sometimes.
Yeah, and that's right, and you're right about that. And because sometimes we make that decision based on our emotions or just because everyone else is with that. I mean, we could be making the wrong decision or whatnot. So make sure you know the inside and out of everything, depending on whatever, and then make your judgment call. If you didn't like the person or if they said something and you still don't like what they said, even though it wasn't offensive, then by all means, I mean, that's your opinion. So.
Right. I mean, that's my whole thing. Just make it personal, and just make it personal. That way we don't run into having to weigh out this whole, are people just being too sensitive or is this a warranted cancellation?
Right.
I do know that the cancel culture is a movement. It's a movement. It's a collection of people wanting to pretty much do away with a person that they disagree with versus if you really disagree with something, look, just like you guys said, just don't listen to them. If enough people do them, that person will either start losing money or they'll start losing popularity, which means they're not going to get as many gigs or shows or acting jobs and things. They'll essentially fade away after a little while. Now you brought up Michael Richards, the gentleman from Seinfeld. Now Kramer, and I talked about Paula Deen the other day, and then there was Kevin Hart, who also said some things in the past that Now Paula Deen is a little bit different. She got no, not even that. Not what she said, but when she said it, she was canceled, right? But now Kevin Hart made some comments years ago that people brought up a while later. They brought it up a little while later and wanted to cancel him for some stuff that he said 20 years ago. Like with the law, is there a statute of limitation on canceling people?
I just think 20 years ago, it might not have been.
The context was different.
Yeah, it was different context 20 years ago. It wasn't so political. You didn't have to be as political correct, and we didn't have we didn't have a lot of the LGBTQ. I hope I get this right. I don't know the rest of the letters. But what is offensive today probably wasn't offensive 20 years ago when he said it. Right. And the difference between them, he apologized 20 years ago when he said it, and he was sincere about it. So I think if you sincere and you apologize about it, then you should consider not canceling them.
So you think this is like them digging, or this is just being overly sensitive?
I think they was digging on this one. Now with the whole Paula Deen and Kramer thing.
Well, they were canceled in the moment. This wasn't something that went back 10 years, but they were canceled. So I was just using it as a comparison, because Paula Deen, when she said those comments, when those comments were made public, those weren't comments that she made 10, 20 years ago. Right. Those were comments she made in a conversation. Right. Now, it was a private conversation, but hey, when you're a celebrity, you are not privy to all the privacy that you think that you are, unfortunately.
Right. And like I said, she probably said it all the time in her own private.
This one just so happened to be documented and publicized, so
she probably just didn't know she was getting caught. Nobody was listening.
Now let me ask you that, because I am one of those people who do believe that there should be a statute of limitation, the same way we do with the law. Why not? And I know this is a little bit different than a law, but for something that somebody say, and if and so that I show that I'm not being biased, even though this person is still a jackass today, but we can't hold this person, we can't hold this person responsible for things that they did say 20 years ago. And I'm speaking of our former President Donald Trump, who made comments and said things 20 years ago. Now, one of you did make a valid point on our call, was that we can't hold him responsible for things he said 20 years ago. The problem with Donald Trump is, why we need to cancel him, or at least I wish we could, is that the same things he was saying 20 years ago, he's still saying today.
Right. He doesn't apologize for any of those things. So he meant,
because he doesn't think he said anything wrong.
Right.
But I think like stuff like this is like different segments. It's always gonna be a bunch of subjectivity, because like how we were saying, like, I think, oftentimes black people, we have a little soft part in our heart for our own, like how, like, when one of our own does something in the past, okay, that was in the past, we need to move on. He don't think like that, and he apologized for it in the past. But when it comes to like public figures, or like people who are running for office and stuff, when they're campaigning, the main thing they try to do is bring up stuff they said or did in the past and hold them to that standard for who they are today. So I think oftentimes we don't have that same energy for people who are not our own, and we try to give some people passes. Like people been giving R. Kelly passes for ways 30 years. So I think that it's always gonna be some subjectivity, and like when you got a soft part in your heart for a certain celebrity or a certain person, you let things pass, versus when it's someone else who you may have a little bit of disdain for, you're not gonna let certain things slide. But it's like, well, he did this back then, so I don't mess with him. I ain't never gonna mess with him. Right. And we don't give him that same grace as like, well, maybe they don't think that way 20 years later. So I think it's never gonna be a standard across the board. It's gonna be kind of like the justice system. Like, you're gonna see some heavy punishment here, you're gonna see some light punishment here, you're gonna see some issues here where they probably should be punished, but they're gonna get off. So I think it's gonna be how the justice system is. I think that's just how we operate as humans. Like, we give certain people passes because of how we feel about them.
So you think it's almost like different, like with us, when it comes to our community, there's different rules for every different category.
We shouldn't give politicians passes at all. No. I don't want a racist person 20 years ago making laws for me today.
If that's the case, Joe Biden wouldn't be president.
Well, I mean,
neither would Donald Trump should have been.
What racist thing did he do?
I'm talking about from his content, huh?
Yeah,
Super
yeah, he's made comments against the black community that were not favorable to black community.
But if we talking about that violent crime bill, that's way overspoken.
Well, no, I'm not just talking about, but
that's the only thing that people be bashing Biden about. I haven't heard anything.
Well, no, I'm just saying
stupid crime bill that was passed in the 90s.
I'm just saying in general, like comments like that. If that was the case, then a lot of these people shouldn't be, in the spot that they're. But let's just be honest.
When we talk politician, definitely hold them accountable.
I will say this: when it comes to politicians and everybody else, those are two separate entities right there. Because
they making laws.
There's not a person in politics right now that hasn't said something about another group that they probably shouldn't have said, and that was just insensitive, but it was probably like an all-out attack, And I'm pretty sure if we dig deep enough, I'm pretty sure Obama said something that we probably wouldn't agree with, or another group wouldn't agree with.
You can say that about any person on this planet.
That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't mean their intentions was bad just because they said something. I might have said something about Hispanics when I was in high school that I didn't mean or I didn't understand. But I'm talking about bluntly racist stuff that politicians come out with. You should not vote for them guys.
Exactly. Now with that, should we forgive?
Hold on, let's back up for a second. So are we saying that it's certain levels of racism that can pass through? Like, if it's racist, it's racist. No matter, like, if you said something in the past you may not understand, but if it's a racist comment,
I'm okay with that. But politicians make laws. You don't want racist people making laws for black and brown people, do you?
Right. Of
so
course
why not counsel them?
But what I'm saying is like, oftentimes we don't the people who we care for, who we feel that.
If a black person say something racist for a white person, then I'm gonna call them out on it. I have no problem with that.
But I'm saying, oftentimes we know it don't work like that. Like, we can have people who are of our community or people who we support do something egregious, but they get a pass just because we support them. And it's the same thing on the other side. Like, just like with Trump, all the crazy stuff he did, but he still got his supporters. They let those things pass just because of their support.
So they minimize.
There's no standard. There's no like black and white standard that's going to be on either side.
Yeah, man, I don't know, but if you shouldn't be voting for a racist politician if they making laws for black and brown people.
So let me ask you a question. Period. So like some of the politicians, like we've heard that had like they found pictures of them doing blackface or whatever. I guess how do you feel about that? Do you feel like since they did that, I mean,
they mocking black culture when they do that that type stuff.
Yeah, so it's like no.
Like I said,
but to your point though, you were saying that you may have said something like in the past that you didn't quite understand.
But am I making laws for brown, black, and white people?
But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
But you're not getting my point.
No, I hear you. Like, if someone has showed racist behavior, you feel that they shouldn't be making laws for people. But you also said that in your past, you have probably said some things that were racist, but you didn't quite understand that was a racist thing. So with that being said, am I
going to be held accountable when I'm 10 and 5 years old? Is that what you're saying?
See, that's what I'm saying. You're going against your own point. But you said something in the past. Hold on.
My point not holding them accountable when they're in elementary school.
Let me finish the whole statement. So your point was you may have said things in the past that you didn't quite have a clear understanding that you shouldn't be saying. So if people in the past have done blackface and they didn't understand that
it was offensive,
they didn't understand it was offensive. They didn't understand the pain that came with it.
Question.
How come we can give ourselves passes for things that we did in the past, but people who did something in the past, they still got to be held accountable for it no matter what? I don't like it. I think it's stupid.
So it's okay for an adult to do it. That's what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm getting out of your conversation. If I did something when I'm 5, but the people that's in college do black faces, I shouldn't hold them accountable because they know at that point right from wrong. But when I'm 5 and 10, I don't quite know that.
About the age thing, but the fact that it was was in the past.
That's what I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand. At what age are we still holding people accountable for?
That's what I'm saying. There's no standard.
Am I getting held accountable for something I did in elementary school? No, I don't think nobody should be held accountable for something they do in elementary school.
I'm not saying elementary school. I'm just saying in the past. It could be 5 years ago. It could be 2 years ago.
If you are an adult, you should be held accountable. That's my point. If you are an adult, if you're in college and you said something racist, you should be accountable for that. Now, if you're in elementary school and don't know what you said, then you shouldn't be held accountable for that. a lot of these politicians are 30, 40, and 50 years old saying racist stuff. They are adults. They know right from wrong at that point.
I'm not disagreeing
That's who
with
they
that.
are.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying that there's no across the board standard because oftentimes, not just based on your argument, what you're saying, like you may have said something in the past. You didn't put a time stamp on it. You just said I might have said something in the past that was.
But I'm not a politician making a law.
But you're still a person. You still have to deal with other cultures.
So basically, you are drawing a line.
I am.
You're drawing a line. There's everybody, and then there's politicians because. If they still possess,
if you are an adult, you should be held accountable for your mistakes.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now that does bring up the question again: is there a statute of limitations? How far we go back? Because
if you are an adult,
but what if they apologized back then?
If they sincere about it, maybe.
But sincerity is like beauty; it's in the eye of the beholder.
If you feel like they sincere, then you can accept them.
Right.
That's up to you to accept their apology. Just like I can go and apologize to my wife about something, but it's up to her to accept my apology as it is, face value. Right. I can apologize all I want to, but it's up to her to accept it.
Yeah. But like I agree with you saying if you're an adult, you should know better. You should be held accountable for your actions. But we know there's always going to be people who move the goalposts. I was 18 when I said I'm an adult, but I was 18.
But I was 22. But I was
22. But then I was 23. But then, people are going to keep moving the goalposts.
What I'm saying, if you're in middle school, and in middle school everybody said something borderline racist in middle school.
But let me tell you this: we know people who've done racist stuff and got beat up for it, and oftentimes today we still don't like that person because of what they did in middle school.
Because that's a personal choice not to like the person again.
Right, but
we're not bashing them on Facebook, telling everybody else to cancel them.
But it was in the past. It was in middle school, but we still gonna have that notion like I can't mess with him because he was racist in middle school.
I'm not saying not feel however you feel. It's okay for you to feel however you feel.
Well, we're talking cancel culture.
Yeah, I don't like this person because what he did in middle school, but I'm not bashing him on Facebook, telling everybody to not go shop with him or not mess with him.
Right.
With cancel culture, they telling us not everybody not to do it.
Right. I get that, but you're saying that
you got the right to dislike whoever you want to dislike. Right?
That's true, but you were saying that it should be a standard when you're an adult. You should be
no. I said you should be held accountable if you're an adult.
Right.
If you say some racist stuff when you're an adult, I don't care how long it is. 10, 15 years ago, because you know right from wrong at that point.
Right. I got that point, but what I'm saying is, you're saying that's where the line starts. Like when you're a kid, it shouldn't matter, but we know it still matters because we know people who were racist and did racist stuff when we were kids, and we still don't like them to this day.
But that's your personal feelings. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about personal, and it's okay to have personal feelings. No, it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're saying that when you were a kid, things that you do that were not quite. I never said that you couldn't dislike.
Let me finish
somebody.
the sentence. Hear me out. You're missing what I'm saying because I can't finish the sentence. The sentence was, you said that when you're a kid, those things shouldn't matter as much because you're a kid. You're not an adult. You're not like thinking correctly. You haven't gained the knowledge to understand that what I'm doing is incorrect, right?
That's 100%. Everybody across the board can understand that kids don't know as much as they know when
so
they're 25.
What I'm saying. So why do we still? We can't take. We can't
You're
take
saying
our
as an adult that we do.
We're still gonna hold those offenses against that person.
So
even though they were a kid, just like you said, you made mistakes with a kid. You don't want nobody to hold those offenses against you from when you were a kid, right?
All right. So
you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Right. I understand what you're saying, but you're not hearing.
So here's the thing that I got so that we can move on to the next point. Now, one of the things I did get from both of your arguments is that basically Clay is saying that the point, are we saying that the point or the cutoff for cancel culture?
I never said it was a cutoff.
No. But
I said if you're an adult, you should take responsibility.
You should be held responsible.
If you said something when you're 6 years old, you don't have the mental capacity to understand what you're saying.
I get that part, Malcolm. But what I'm saying is, you're saying you can write it off because you don't have the mental capacity at that point. And you said that for yourself. Like, you might have said some things in the past that wasn't right, but you didn't have the mental capacity at the time to understand that was incorrect. But what I'm saying, to your point, is we also know people outside of ourselves who have made those same mistakes that we have, but we still hold them accountable. We still don't like them because something that they did when they didn't have the mental capacity to do better.
Let me address what you're saying. Let me address. So you saying that just because I have a personal feelings towards somebody, I shouldn't have it because he said something?
That's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you just said.
What I'm saying is you're giving yourself a pass.
My point. I'm not giving myself a pass for saying what I said when I was a kid. I never said that it was okay for me to say those things. What I'm saying is that when you're a kid, you don't have the mental capacity to understand.
And right, that's giving yourself a reprieve for doing those things.
But how's that not holding people responsible as they're an adult?
I didn't say anything about that. That's not what I'm talking about.
What you were saying, I should be responsible for what I said when I was 7 years old.
No, I was asking a question.
But that's how you stating it.
No, I'm asking a question.
And I'm trying to answer your question.
My question is, why is it that you can say that, okay, I said things when I was younger that I didn't have not having the mental capacity is the reprieve from those actions that you committed. But what my question is, how come you can have a reprieve for yourself, but those who we know who've done things that were racist, we
still have feelings for that.
Right.
But I don't understand how is that a reprieve for myself. That's why I don't understand.
So I don't
how
think
am I reprieving myself?
I don't think that it's a reprieve from what it is. But what I do think that it is that when it comes to cancel culture, see, there's a difference between I don't like a person because of what happened. I don't like a person because of what happened back then. But that's not the same as not liking them is not the same as I'm canceling them. And I think that was the point that the two of you were trying to come together and make. Because we, like you said, we hold people as an adult. We should hold them responsible for what they said as adults. Now, we are all guilty of at being adolescents of saying things that we should not have said. Now, does that, not to give myself a reprieve or whatever, but we all did say things when we were younger that we didn't really necessarily know the ramifications or to the extent of what we were saying then. That doesn't excuse me from saying it, but you really can't hold a person responsible for what they said when they were 14 years old.
Right. But you can.
But you can still have feelings about it.
Right.
But you're okay. And this is my opinion on what the two of you were going at. I think it is okay to still have feelings about it versus I'm trying to cancel them. And I think that was one of the things that I did agree with what Malcolm did say was that I'm not on Facebook bashing them or telling people not to shop with them, because now I do think that is what plays into cancel culture is the movement or like the actual verbal or whatever movement to actually get these people canceled in whatever respect that they are in. Now, one of the things that Clay was saying was that, but why is it not that we're giving ourselves a reprieve if we're basically taking the responsibility off ourselves, because we're saying we should only be held responsible for what we do as an adult? So if we are giving ourselves a reprieve for what we said when we were younger, why do we still have feelings about it as adults?
Right. So why can't we have the same grace for others that we want people to have for us? So like, oh yeah, I did something stupid back then. Forgive me for that.
But don't hold it against me.
Yeah, I don't think that way anymore.
I'm not holding anything against anybody. That's not what. That's not what wasn't my point at all.
Hear me out, Malcolm. What I'm saying is, we know people that did.
I understand your point, but that wasn't my point. If we're talking about politicians right here,
right? I'm
not holding these politicians about anything that they did in high school. I don't care what they did in high school. But if a politician say some racist shit when they 30, I'm going to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Even if it was 30.
I never
disagree with that 30 years ago.
I just disagree with the point.
They should still be held responsible. Even if it was 30 years ago.
Absolutely. If they 30 years old and they 60 and they said it when they was 30, absolutely.
Yeah, I never disagree with that.
Now, if they said it when they was 12, then I don't think so, because they don't have the mental capacity to understand the ramifications of what they said.
I was trying not to call out any names.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, we had a conversation a while back.
Right. I know who you're talking about, and he might be a great person, but you don't hear me bashing him at all.
Right, but I'm saying you still have feelings about.
I mean, I don't personally like him.
That's what I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying.
And we
don't like him, but we want people to forgive us for things that we may have did that was similar to what he did. We don't want people to hold it against us because we were young and dumb. We didn't have the mental capacity to do better.
So basically, you're saying
why
were they not young and dumb?
But are we holding it against them?
Yes.
How? We just don't like them.
You still don't like them.
That's because you hold it against what he did.
But we're not blasting them on Facebook. We're not canceling.
You don't have to bash somebody to still hold an offense.
So you saying it's not okay to dislike people?
No, that's not what I'm saying. You said
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, because
you're still holding the offense against him. What he did.
I'm not holding the offense against him.
If you don't like him, that's holding the offense against him.
I don't talk to him. If I see him at the store, I might say hey to him, but I'm not like.
But we can't forget it.
See, y'all. No. This is what the After 29 podcast was designed.
I mean, I don't understand what. I mean, he probably don't forget what we said to him.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying, your whole
that's
thing.
That's not my point. That was definitely not my point. My point was if it's an adult that said some racist shit.
Right.
You should not vote
that
for
point.
him.
I agree with that point.
But you took it back to high school, middle. That happened in
that's
like
because that's
grade.
where you took it. You were saying that when you get to the adult point, it shouldn't be held against you. Things that you did when you were a kid shouldn't be held against you.
And I'm not holding it against. I just dislike the guy.
Well, I feel like you are holding it against him
because
we still talk about it.
Me and him was not friends even before he said that.
All right, so before we even go any further, let's move on with our next point. And I get that because that was a good argument there with that, because that does play a part even when we're talking about like public figures. You know, there's a lot of things about somebody, and I do think that there is that double standard when it comes to cancel culture. Like even with public figures, whether it's politicians, musicians, actors, or just hell, news anchors and things like that. I do think that we do pick and choose as a society or as a world, because that's not even just about the black community. I do think there are times where we do pick and choose where, all right, they said it 30 years ago, I'm going to forgive them because they were sorry. Or sometimes, oh no, they said it 30 years ago, and especially if it's something that resonates with you personally, you're not likely to forgive it. And I do, and this is why, and I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm not saying that that's wrong at all, because one of the whole points I think we've all agreed on when it comes to cancel culture is that it really shouldn't be a culture. It really should be a personalized, individualized thing. You whatever the situation was, you hear the facts or whatever it was yourself, and you make a conscious decision for you. I think, first of all, I think cancel culture should be done away with or whatever. And I personally think it should be done away with, because I don't think we should be encouraging others to see things our way. Allow people that individuality. Right. You want to say, oh, I'm free, I should be able to say this, that, or third. Then allow people to come up with their own opinions on things. Exactly. That's just like there was people, and first of all, let me go ahead and say this, because there were some people who said, and this is the damn man has been dead, 11 years now? 12 years now. The man has been dead. And there were people who were saying, well, we should cancel Michael Jackson. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, as Vincent Dunstan, y'all can go to hell. I will never cancel Michael Jackson. I don't care what y'all think or said he did. I will never cancel Michael Jackson. But that's my opinion. Vincent, being a huge Michael Jackson fan, I will never do it. But I will never tell a person that says, oh, you should cancel Michael Jackson. Okay, well, you cancel him and you don't listen to his music anymore, and don't go to any events in his name or anything that, is directed towards him. Don't come at me with it. And that's where I think the movement is going too far. I don't think it should be a movement. It should be an individual thing. If that's how you feel, keep that with you. Cancel that person in your life, but don't get online bashing it, bashing that person or TV station or whatever case may, whatever it is. Allow people the opportunity to decide if they want to do it. Now, if 500 million of you decide that you want to cancel something on your own terms and it ends up effectively canceling that person, okay, then you know what? At least 500 million people came together on their own accord and they canceled this person individually, but not as a movement. Because too often we do find that there are people who will just bandwagon things. They don't even know why they're canceling. Right. And the thing that they're probably canceling, they're not even offended by it. They're like, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Right. So, why am I doing it? Now, when it comes to this cancel culture, now I asked you guys this on the call, because I do think that this cancel culture, as I just said, I think it's getting out of hand. What or who do y'all think they're going to cancel next?
Me personally, I don't care who they cancel next. I think it's a personal decision. If I don't like somebody, I just don't like them. And but like I said, who cares who they cancel next?
And I'll just throw this out there. I agree with you to an extent on that, because I don't really care who they cancel either. Because if I still like the person, as we all agreed and disagreed, if I still like R. Kelly's music, I'm going to still listen to it. And that's my choice. That's your choice. That's my choice. Just like it's Malcolm's choice to say, look, I got daughters, so, this, that, I'm a father. Right. I can't support that, so I'm not going to listen to it. That is that brother's choice.
But, I'm not putting it on Facebook.
Exactly. He's not like mute R. Kelly or mute whoever or whatever. But my point that I was getting ready to make with that is, I do think that it is something that should be considered because it is serious. Because even though we as individuals, we feel like that, but there's a lot more people than us that feel otherwise, that says things should continue to be canceled. And I don't think that there's a line that's going to be drawn.
Here's where I think. Yeah. I think cancel culture is a trend. I just think right now
it's a fad? Trend.
Yeah, I think it's a fad. I think it's going to pass. But like I said, man, if you go to a restaurant and they give you bad service, just don't go back to that restaurant. Right. You ain't got to write a bad review.
You ain't got to go protest. You ain't got to
go pass them out. Just don't do that.
I mean, that's the society we live in with Yelp and stuff.
It is, and that's the problem that I have with social media is that we put stuff up there without understanding what we putting up there, and people will share it. Yeah. I can say Mazio is cheating on his wife right now, which he's not, Marissa.
He can't even go to the game tomorrow.
and post that on Facebook. And before Mazio get home, everybody is gonna pass that story saying Mazio cheated on his wife.
Outside.
And then we should
and then it's gonna get back to Marissa, and you're gonna get just like in high school, like rumors. Yeah, rumors will start, and next thing you know, people believe it's real.
Yeah.
So cancel culture ain't going nowhere because it's just social media.
Yeah, you might be right, but I don't think it'll be as big in the next 10 years.
I don't see it going anywhere only because of its popularity. And
it's popular right now.
And now, because of its popularity, it is effective in some cases. Now, in the Dave Chappelle case, it was not. In J.K. Rowling's case, I still don't think that what they say, some people say that she was canceled. I think it's really hard to cancel a billionaire. She does. She does. So I think it's kind of hard to cancel a person with that much money and influence.
Oh, she worth billions right now.
She is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, she worth billions.
Yeah. She's another one of those.
I just think it's personal things, man. If you dislike something, just don't. Just stay away from it, man.
So your whole point is just like if you don't like it, just like don't like it, don't blast it.
Yeah, if you don't like it, don't like it, but don't go publicize that you don't like it or whatever.
Just like that KFC by your house. They kept messing up my
you put them on blast now?
I'm putting them on blast now, but I used to tell you about it, and I just stopped going there.
Took you a while though.
Yeah, it took me a while.
So, like I said,
I just stopped going there.
One of the questions that I asked was who or what will they cancel next? Now, me and Mazio and Clay got into a big conversation about this one thing. I did bring up, I didn't say that they will cancel. I said that they will try because there are people out here who don't agree with not just saying God or Jesus, but I'm talking about the idea of a faith-based religion. I do think that there will come a time, it may not be right now, but I do think that there will come a time when individuals will get together and say we should cancel Christianity or Muslim or Islam.
Be able to do it.
I'm not saying that they'll be successful in it. I'm saying that I don't think I think that they will try because remember nowadays when it comes to social media, not when it comes to our hearts and our lives.
I think
when it comes to social media,
time ago, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. But we live in a different day and age we live in the social media age.
Religion is about a movement of things, and religion is very, very important in a lot of people's life. We are all Christians, but they got many different religions, and I just don't think it'll ever be canceled.
Yeah, and it's a bunch of like the Hotep brothers and stuff on social media who say that us as black people shouldn't be Christians. It's the religion of our slavers. Right. So it's
which
tons
is
of
wrong.
It's tons of movements that are trying to stop it. So I just don't ever see it happen.
Again, to my point. I don't believe that they'll ever be effective, nor will I think they'll be successful.
Man, they've been out for a long time.
I think that they will try. I'm not even saying that it's somebody now. There may be a whole nother group or whatever. I think that will try because Mazio and I.
What's your boy? Your African dude. What's his name? Dr.
Sibi?
Cool. What is his name, man? The black guy that be talking all the time. Dr. Omar.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yeah.
I do not like that guy. And he's a good speaker, but he don't have content to what he's saying.
No, he's just charismatic, and that's it.
That's it.
No substance to what he says.
He be telling people a lot of wrong stuff, but people eat it up
because he sounds good, and he's charismatic.
Right.
You know.
But you have to do these, and he might be one of the people telling people not to be Christians or something like that. Yeah. But he's a good speaker. But I mean, sometimes, man, I be like, this dude is not like this dude, man. Don't listen to him, man.
Right.
Like,
so,
or if you listen to him, go back and read up on what he's talking about. Right. Yeah, fact check him, man.
So I definitely blame social media for a lot of this. And it makes and people think social media. Well, people actually make social media as their god. You know, they listen to that before they listen. You know, go and look up stuff on the internet
You're right
or whatever.
about that. People have more faith in Facebook than they do in God.
Right, exactly. And it's like it makes people become zombies. Like they just don't worry about like getting the facts or whatever. They just say, okay, well, this is what it says on Facebook. I'm gonna go by that or whatnot.
But
so
that's the problem that I was saying.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's like it makes us forget about trying to have an opinion. It's just we're gonna just go with the latest trend
because it's popular.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
I just think religion is so powerful that nothing is gonna get rid of it.
Well, that was my only. Nothing. That was my only. Well, that was my only point to about the whole bringing up the church thing, because we do live in a different day and age where social media is very prominent nowadays.
It is.
And because of that, I think that will give people the audacity. Yeah. Like I said, not the effectiveness, because I don't think you can ever cancel God, or you can't cancel the church. Now, I will say this, not to get all biblical, and I won't get too deep into this, but the Bible does talk about that. So that's what another thing that really does make me think that it will happen, is that, you know, people will really revamp their push to try to cancel God and from saying the name Jesus and just, you know, all those different things involved with Christianity. And I'm only speaking of Christianity because I'm a Christian man, so I will not speak on any other faith at the moment. But I do think that they will eventually get the audacity. Why? Because they have a platform to do so now.
And if you actually think about it, I mean, they kind of already did already, like how before back in the day you could pray in schools or whatnot. Now you can't even do that.
No, they have. You're right. They have chipped away at it.
But I think the religion has grown since they did that, though.
And that's another thing they have. Right. So, you know, let me just we'll close out on this. And the question is will cancel culture end, or do y'all believe that it will continue to grow?
I mean, I think it might not end, but I don't think it'll be as big as an impact in the next couple of years.
You think it'll fade away?
I think it'll fade away. I think it's just one of those fads. Fads come in every 7 years or so. Something like
quicker
that.
than that nowadays.
I think I think it'll fade out, man. I mean, it's popular right now.
I would say, you know, it's what people make it. I mean, if you add fuel to the fire, it's going to continue to get bigger and burn even harder or whatever. I mean, for me personally, I don't care. Like, if I have opinion about something, that's my opinion. Right. If I want to support somebody, that's my opinion. If you don't like it, hey, you know, who cares or whatnot. But I mean, I feel I definitely agree with Malcolm. I mean, it's a trend. And, you know, all trends, you know, eventually go away. For example, Jabot jeans, for example, you know, how we used to rock that in high. But yeah, like, you know, people rock that for a good minute or whatever. And once that trend, the style changed, that went downhill or whatnot. And I mean, eventually it became to a thing that people don't wear it no more. I mean, it's just, I mean.
Well, so my only thing with that is I'll just say this and I'll leave it there. I can't say that I think it'll go away, but I also don't think it will grow. I think the thing is here. If we can get it to lose popularity, and I do think we may be possibly headed in the right step. Right. Netflix took a big stand by not canceling Dave Chappelle, and I think that will give other networks, excuse the way I'm gonna say it, but I do think that will give a lot of other networks and labels and the balls to stand up for what they actually believe in and say, you know what, just because my artist or my client disagreed with something or said something, especially if it really wasn't offensive.
I think a lot of networks are standing up, man. Look at your boy Rush Limbaugh. He had a show for 40-some years.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, see, but that's because he's on. But that's
Tucker
because he
Carlson.
was on a.
Right.
But that's because he wasn't in. He wasn't at risk of losing anything because Rush Limbaugh was on a network that agreed
But he
with
said
him.
some crazy stuff.
But they also agree with him.
Tucker Carlson say some crazy stuff.
Yeah, but see, they are not being canceled because they're on right wing networks. So
Yeah,
they agree with that kind of stuff, and their audience base agrees with that stuff. It's not too many. I'm not gonna say there aren't any people like the LGBTQ community that don't listen to that stuff, but as a whole, they probably don't because a lot of stuff, their whole stance is against everything that community stands for.
No. They be killing the LGBTQ.
Exactly. So they're not at risk of losing anything there by canceling anybody, because they agree with it.
I just think the networks are just getting tired of the cancel culture.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what?
I think we may be headed in the right direction.
Watch it or not watch it.
And I definitely agree with what Vincent said. Well, pretty much what we're all thinking of whatnot that's heading into the right direction. Because, for example, people in the LGBTQ community actually agreed and sided with Dave Chappelle.
Right.
Like what was the trans comedian?
But it wasn't.
Well, it was actually quite a few of them. That
it
was
wasn't
like,
the whole LG. It wasn't the whole community.
Yeah, and some people said.
Well, it was started by an employee.
Right.
By a Netflix employee who said he should be canceled.
Right.
And then, of course, it caught fire,
Right.
or whatever. But yeah, you're right. But it is headed in the right directions. And like I said, and in the case of Dave Chappelle, thankfully, he really didn't say anything, in our opinion, and I think in most opinions, that he didn't say anything that was actually offensive. He made a comparison, which we'll talk about on another episode. Right. But he made a comparison, and the LGBTQ plus community got all up in arms about it. Right. And it was like, oh no, cancel him. Like, but he didn't attack y'all. Right. Actually, he's been a proponent of y'all, and y'all are ready to cancel the guy. And then now one thing he did say was that, if y'all want to sit down and talk with me, we will do it. And you will not summon me, but we can meet on mutual
and that's
terms.
How it should be. If it's something that you don't like, you should be open to a conversation.
Yeah. But like Dave Chappelle
but they further his point.
Right.
Yeah. They really did that. They are overly sensitive. Like, here's my thing. To me, that's like the what's that? The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Mm-hmm. Because right now, you keep crying wolf, and everybody keeps running over there to see what's going on. Right. Eventually, people are like, "Look, y'all keep getting offended over
and
everything."
Think that's why it's gonna fade away.
Yeah, and I do agree with there. This has been a great topic, guys. I really think we put some major points out there, and I hope all those that are listening, I hope this really starts. I hope this is not the end of that conversation, because it is one of those things that is really, really, at this point. Well, up until this point, we all felt that it was growing, and it was becoming more and more, I would say, ridiculous, because it was like, now you can't sneeze without somebody getting offended. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is COVID,
yeah.
And me and Malcolm derailed us for a minute with our debate.
Hey, but that's all right. But that's all right, though.
One more thing for the guy that stole my PS5 at the FedEx and your days are never, bro.
Oh, you canceling him?
Yeah,
I'm canceling him.
Hey, he said it was warranted, all right? He stole the man PS5.
You need to cancel that order. That's what you need to do.
I canceled the order. They just won't give my money back.
And I'll say this,
weeks.
Lamont, if you have Malcolm's PS5, please bring it back.
Stop calling out person names. All right, y'all. It's been another episode of the After 29 podcast, man. I have enjoyed this episode with y'all. Until next time, peace.
Hey, man, don't say nothing crazy, man. I can't even transition. My mouth's acting crazy. Hold on.